Alright, so here's the second part of the midterm study packet. So as you can see that 41 to 44, so those are the problem you have to solve for x, okay? So also checking the extraneous solution if you come up with more than one solution. Okay, so the key for doing this is always finding the least common denominator. So first thing that you want to do, you want to factor. So this one factors, then that'll be x times x minus 7. Nothing can factor with this, so just bring it down, just the denominator. And the other one too, so x times x minus 7. So the least common denominator would be x times x minus 7. So anytime that you find out the LCD, guess what? Just simply multiply that for each term. So once you multiply the LCD, so for this one, you end up with 3. So that equals x times x. Because once you cross cancel, the x minus 7 got canceled. X squared minus 7x got canceled. And then the other one too, so this one, everything got canceled. You only have x squared plus 3x plus 2. But let's put in the quantity, because you're subtracting the same quantity. So multiplied it out, so x squared minus 3x plus 2. So this one got canceled. And then we do have 5. Let's see, no, it's actually 1. 3 minus 2, so 1 equals negative 3x. So x, then that'll be considered negative 1/3. And then the other one is similar, so once again, try to factor it first. So once you factor it, denominators, and then you'll find the least common denominator. So check that. And solve each system by linear equations using Gauss-Jordan elimination. Well, we haven't talked about the Gauss-Jordan elimination, so that's something to do with the matrices. But right now, we just want to use this elimination technique or the substitution technique. So 46, so we do have multivariable, x, y, z. So compare and contrast, so the first two, they all have what? X, y, z. But the third one, it doesn't have the z variable. So what we can do, we can eliminate z first. So for the second equation here, we can just multiply that by 2. So for the first one, so let's just line up with the second one. So negative 4x minus 5y plus 2z equals 2. And then the second one, we do have 2x plus 10y minus 2z. So that equals negative 20. And then right here, so we just want to combine them. So we do have negative 2x, negative 4x plus 2x, negative 2x, negative 5y plus 10y, then that'd be 5y, 2z plus negative 2z, so everything got canceled right there. And then 2 plus negative 20, then that'd be negative 18. So this one is a new equation, so let's give the name for that. It's a new equation. And then for the third equation, we do have negative 2x minus 2y equals negative 4. So basically just subtract. So this one got canceled. 5y minus negative 2y, 7y. Negative 18 minus negative 4. So then that'll be negative 18 plus 4. Then that'll be negative 14. So y equals negative 2. And then the rest of that, just plug in a number. Back here, solve for x. And then plug in x, y. And then solve for z. So it's pretty straightforward. Again, I'm just showing you the way to get started with the problem. Not showing you the whole thing right here. So you guys should know what to do with the rest of this. And now 48, 47 through 50. So it's all about finding the equation for the exponential model. Excuse me. So the structure is always like a times b to the power of x minus h plus k. And we do know that k, it's considered the horizontal asymptote. The value of k. So as you can see that for number 48, so negative 2, the value of k. So then that'll be the horizontal asymptote. And also the phase shift here. So normally the graph without the phase shift is just like what? It's like a solid parent graph going like increasingly. And then looks like the phase shift here is shifted 1 unit to the left. Okay, 1 unit to the left right here. So which is what? Negative 1. So with the value of h and k, so we can just put it in here. So a times b to the power of x plus 1, and then plus k, so minus 2. And now the only thing that's left here to solve for a and b. So for the graph here, we can choose 2 point. So normally I would like to choose the x-intercept and the y-intercept if they're considered integers. So negative 1 comma 0, and then the y-intercept is 0 comma 4. So plugging 0 comma 4, we do have 4 equals a times b to the power 0 plus 1, then that's just 1, or ab, minus 2, a times b minus 2. So that's the first equation. And then the second equation with the x-intercept, we do have 0 for the y value, so that equals ab to the power of negative 1 plus 1, so b to the power of 0, and then minus 2. So you may notice that from here, so we can just solve for a, because b to the power of 0, that's just 1. Negative 2, take that to the right hand side, so a equals 2. So solve for a, how do we solve for b? Well, just plug in a number back to the first equation. Okay, so the first equation, we do have 4 equals ab, so 2 times b minus 2. So 4 plus 2, 6. And then solve for b, so b is 3. So we got a, we got b, we got h and k. So guess what? Just rewrite it. So y equals ab, so 2 times 3 to the power of x minus h. So x minus negative 1, so x plus 1, and then plus k, minus 2. And that's the equation for the exponential model. And then for number 50, it's quite similar. So identifying the value of h and k first. So for the value k, horizontal asymptote, so k would be what? 1. And then h right here. So again, shift it 1 unit to the left. So it's 1 unit. Well, actually this one, it's not to the left. It's actually to the right. Well, because that, according to the curve right here, it's tended shifted to the right. So it looks like right up here, it's about 1 unit to the right. So h is 1. So again, y equals a times b to the power of x minus 1, and then plus 1. And then again, select 2 points, so the y-intercept. And this time, there's no x-intercept, so you probably want to choose the point that is considered perfect number. So I would say 2 comma 9. Okay, and then just solve for a and b. Quite similar to the previous one. So for the y-intercept here is 0 comma 3. And now for the rest of this, 51 to 54, finding the inverses. So again, finding inverses, so you want to rewrite it in terms of x and y. And then you swap the variable. And then after you swap the variable, you want to solve for y in terms of x. So subtract 3 both sides. And then cube root both sides. And then after that, subtract 1, so cube root of x minus 3 minus 1, then that'll be the inverse of f of x. And this one is just a linear function, so you can just put it as y equals 5/3 x plus 10/3. Swap the variables, so x equals 5/3 y plus 10/3. Okay. So this one is solved for y, so subtract 10/3. And then divided by what? 5/3, or multiply by 3/5. So 3/5 times x minus 10/3. So that equals inverse of f of x. And then 55 to 58, composition. Or this one, the function operation. So basically just plug in the new variable. So for g of 4 minus n, then that'll be 4 minus n plus 4. Minus h of 4 minus n, so plug in 4 minus n for n of h of n. So quantity of 4 minus n, quantity squared plus 2. And then the rest of this, combined like term, expand, combined like term. Okay, just simplified it. And 58, that's quite similar. So g of n squared, so n squared plus 3 times f of n squared, so n to the power n squared quantity squared, then n to the power 4 plus 5n squared. And then the rest of this, you want to FOIL. So 59 to 62. So determine the number of terms n in each geometric series. So again, the structure is always a sub 1 times r to the power of n minus 1 for this recursive formula or the implicit formula. So that means a sub 1 is 1. Common ratio is 2. So using that, the sum of the geometric series formula, so which is what? S sub n. So that it's considered a sub 1 times r to the power of n minus 1 over r minus 1. And then after you set it up, you want to solve for n. So a sub 1 is 1 times common ratio, so 2 to the power of n minus 1 over 2 minus 1. And then that equals 7. 2 minus 1, that's 1, so 7 equals 2 to the power of n minus 1, so 8 equals 2 to the power of n, so n equals what? 3. 62, that's quite similar, so just followed with the same kind of technique. And now let's talk about transformation. So transform the given function f of x as described and write the resulting function as an equation. So any kind of transformation that involve, so the parent function is always given. So for the transformation, you can always put it in as this form, so g of x. So that equals a times f of bx minus h, and then the whole quantity plus k. So again, a, it's the vertical stretching, whether that's stretching vertically or shrinking vertically. And then b is the scale factor, the horizontal string, or the vertical string, the shrinking factor. And then h is just the it tells you that the shifting, okay, the shifting to the left, to the right. And then k, it's a vertical translation. Okay, so this one compressed horizontally, so that's a shrinking factor of 3, so b is 3. And then reflect across the x-axis, so that means outside the function is going to be negative. And then translate 1 unit to the left, so that means h is negative 1. And then translate down 1 unit, so k, it's negative 1. So once you put it in all together, so don't forget f of x is what? X to the power of 3. So that means the function is going to be considered g of x. So that equals a, which is what? Negative 1, times the function of what? X to the power of 3. So that means what would the scale factor be? So 3 times the quantity of x plus 1, and then this whole quantity to the power of 3. And then the last thing that I want to do, minus 1. Okay, so then that'll be the final form. There's no need to simplify it. Okay, you're probably wondering, can I expand it? Well, you don't want to do that, so just want to come up with the form. Okay, it shows the transformation. So the value of a, b, h, and k. And then 66, quite similar, expand vertically by the factor of 2, so a is 2. Reflect across the x-axis, so that means outside is going to be negative. And then translate 3 units to the right, so that means minus 3 for h, positive 3 for h. And then what else? And then translate up 2 units, so that means k is 2. And then the parent function is 1 over x. It's a rational. So that means this one is written as negative 2 over x minus 3. Again, the value of h is 3. And then what else? Up 2 unit. Okay. So then that'll be g of x. And then the rest of this, they're quite similar, but make sure that you need to use the structure of the parent function. If that's rational, that means for g of x is also rational. If the one that's given as radical, so that means for g of x is going to be written as radical as well. But the thing is that we just need to put in the elements of all those transformational, the value of a, b, h, and k. So finding inverse function again. So inverse, again, swap the variable. So x equals e to the power of y plus 3 over 4, quantity to the power of 1/4. And then from here, solve for y. So you might be wondering, so it's 1/4, so we need to get rid of the power first, raise up to the power of 4, both sides. So that's why I can get rid of that power. And then from here, cross multiply, which is multiplied by 4 both sides. Subtract 3. The base is e, so we take the natural log both sides. So natural log of 4x to the power of 4 minus 3. Natural log of e is 1, so that just left with y, which is what? It's the inverse of f of x. And 71 is quite similar, so try to do that. So the properties of logarithm, condense each expression to a single logarithm. So common base is 6, so log base 6. Okay, something wrong with the pen again. Let's see. So log base 6 of 8 times 11, and then times 1/3, so that's just the coefficient. So times 3 to the power of 1/3. Okay, so you can put it this way. The whole quantity. And then this one's quite similar, so log base 7. So v times w to the power of 3 times u to the power of 1/2. Okay, make sure that I put the equal sign. If that's minus, that means the quotient, so got to be careful with the minus. And then the rest of this, I would like to talk about the probability. So missing probability. So one thing that we notice, if that's the consider dependent event, so that means the probability of, well, got to be careful with the key word or and then and. Or that means you want to add. Okay, that's a sum. If that's and, that means you actually have to multiply. So one thing that I just want to point out, if that's a dependent event, so that means P and A, P, the probability of A and B, that would be considered probability of A times the probability of B based upon on event A. Okay, so got to be careful with this. And then if that's like a overlapping event, so probability of A or B, so then that would be considered probability of A plus the probability of B overlapping minus the probability of A and B. Okay, so we do have two different structure for the formula here. Overlapping and dependent. Okay, this one's overlapping event. Okay, so now what we found here, so 76, excuse me. So 76, so we do have probability of B, probability of A, and also we do have probability of A or B. So now we need to find out probability of A based upon on B. Okay, so now how do we do that? So first thing that you want to do, so you want to find out the, well, in other form, probability of A and B could be the probability of A in alternate form. Probability of A times the probability of B, probability of B times the probability of A based upon on B. So that's the alternate form. So in order to get this, we need to use the dependent event probability formula. Okay, so, and we need to find out what probability of A and B first. So probability of A and B, so that's 51 over 100. So that equals probability of A plus B, or probability of B plus probability of A. So 2/5 plus 1/5 minus the probability of A and B. So once we get that probability of A and B, so we can put it into the dependent event probability. Okay, so this one combine them. So we do have 3/5. Okay. So 51 over 100, so that equals 3/5 minus the probability of A and B. You can say that it's a variable for probability of A and B. So solve for this one. So we do have 3/5 minus 51 over 100. So this one, that would be what? 60 over 100. Because you multiply by 20 top and the bottom. Minus 51 over 100, then that would be considered 9 over 100. So that would be the probability of A and B. Okay, so 9 over 100. So now let's find out the probability of B. So that one is unknown. But we do know the probability of A based on B. So that one is what? 143 over 200. So basically this one just divide it or multiply the reciprocals of 143 over 200. So multiply 200 over 143. And this one cross cancel, 2. And 9 goes into 143. Let's see how many times. So 153, well that's not divisible, but by 3, that's not divisible either. So this one, just leave that as what, 18? Multiply them straight across, so 18 over 143. Then that would be the probability of A based upon on B. Okay, so you can always check this one, 76. So let's check that, the solution there, 76. Wait, actually this one, if we try to reduce it, it's 9 over 40. Wait a minute. Oh, you know what? Okay, give me one sec. I just used the wrong number here. It's not 143 over 200. Okay, so let's go back. Oops. So what I did, I used the wrong number for this one. Apologize for that. So what we found, it's what? 9 over 100. So that's the probability of A and B. Since we do have probability of A already. No, we do have probability of B already. So basically this one you actually divide it by 2/5. Okay, so let me just reset this part. Again, apologize for this one. So once we come up with the probability of A and B. So we need to find out probability of A based upon on B. So 9 over 100 times, okay, probability of B, which is what? 2/5. And then find out the probability of A based upon on B. So 9 over 100 times 5 over 2. Cross cancel, so 20. So it's 9 over 40. And that's what we found. Okay, so now let's try another one. So probability of A and B, so that's 51 over 80. And probability of B based upon on A, it's 17 over 20. And probability of A, we don't know. So how do we do that? So again, this one is just using that, the dependent event. Okay, so 51 over 80. Again, and that means you multiply. So probability of A, we don't know what that is. But we do know the probability of B based upon on event A, 17 over 20. So set up the equation. And then basically this one just multiplied by what? 20 over 17 on both sides. So 20 over 17 on both sides. Cross cancel. So it's 3, 4 for 78. And then 80 is quite similar to the previous one. So find out the probability of A or B. So you need to find out the overlapping. Well, the overlapping one is given already. So you want to find out the probability of A or B. So using that, the overlapping probability formula. So this one is actually quite straightforward. So probability of A, 2/5, plus probability of B, 13 over 20. And then subtract the one that is shared in common, 13 over 50. And then just evaluate it. Okay, so now the next set of the problem here, determine if the scenario involved mutually